Your power is in your perspective. Your power is in your perspective. Often, most people do not audit their perspective. They see things a certain way, and that's just the way it is. And the message of this video is there is power in perspective. Your power is in your perspective, because the way that you look at a situation determines everything. The way that you look at your life determines your life. The way that you look at everything makes a huge, colossal impact on that thing. So most people live their lives and they just have a certain narrative. They're like, this is what happened to me, this is what's happening, this is my life, and that's it. They don't think about it. That's just in the back of their mind. And that is a potential gold mine for you to look, take it out and be like, what's this fucking, how am I looking at my life? In what way am I viewing, in what way am I observing my life? Because most likely I've been looking at my life in the same way for years or decades. And I've just accepted a certain narrative. The story that you tell yourself about your life is not necessarily true. And it can be very helpful and powerful to think about what is the story I'm telling myself, about my life, about the things that happened in the past, particularly the emotionally charged events or phases or periods in my life. What perspective am I looking through? Because there's a million ways of looking at your life. There's a million ways of looking at you. There's a million ways of looking at everything that happened to you. And there are ways of framing you to be a bad guy or girl, and there's ways of framing you to be like an amazing guy or an amazing girl. And that's why, like, when we watch a movie, we can actually root for the bad guy. Like the movie, the director can direct the movie in such a way that we're actually rooting for like the criminal somehow, right? Whereas like there's easily like someone robbing a bank, for example, you know, or I don't know, whatever. But it would be very easy to get a different director and be like, all right, let's do something interesting here. Let's do the exact same movie from a different perspective. So we just did that movie from robber number 2, Alan, or whatever. Now we're going to do it from Julia's perspective, and Julia is the clerk at the bank who was shown the gun and told to open the vault. We're going to do it from there. From the menacing man, Alan, right? Because in our eyes, watching the movie, Alan's a fucking hero, you know, whatever. He's doing it to like raise money for his kid who's sick in hospital or something. So we're like, wow, like he's like just a plumber, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna rob a bank and shit. And we're like, whoa, what a hero! He's breaking the law, but who gives a shit? He's doing it for his son, you know. So watching the movie, we think Alan's a fucking hero, but we could make the movie from Julia's perspective and see Alan like, you better fucking open the vault or I'm gonna shoot you in the head right now. And Julia being shit scared, you know, and Julia maybe having like fucking panic attacks for the next 3 weeks because some shit like that happened, right? There are ways of framing Alan to be the fucking hero and the villain. Let me bring it back to you. Whatever happened in your life that was maybe difficult, something that you remember, things that you remember, phases or whatever, the perspective that you are looking at that event or period is crucial. It's more important than the event itself. The perspective that you choose, that you adopt, is more important than that which you are looking at. So let's say, for example, you've been depressed, or you've let's say you've experienced a lot of mental health problems, challenges, and you've told yourself, fuck, man, like, I don't know, you've maybe had like a victim mentality and you've been like, oh, this is so unfair, like, fuck, like, this life's so hard and blah, blah, blah. If you have that mentality, your actions flow from that mentality. They flow from that perspective. If you tell yourself, I'm a victim and life's not fair and this is not fair, that this is happening and things should be different, your actions are going to be categorically different than if your perspective is, let's say this one. I've experienced a lot of mental health challenges in my life. I've really suffered. In what way has that been serving me? In what way has that been a huge plus to me? Because there's symmetry, right? If there's a negative here, there is a positive here. If there's a little negative, there's a little positive. If there's a large negative, there's a large positive. So if there's this huge thing that's been a theme in my life, that's been really difficult for me, that's been a huge negative, where's the positive? Not is there a positive, but where is the positive? Where is the equal and proportional and symmetric positive to that negative? Where is it? Because I haven't been looking at it. I've been focusing on this negative, right? Maybe you've been focusing on the negative. You've been telling yourself, like, this is so bad, I'm such a victim, blah, 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 fuck this, fuck life, fuck everything. You've just been looking at the negative. You could choose to look at the positive and try and find it. So, for example, I have experienced a lot of mental health challenges in my life, and I've suffered a lot. And for years I was in the victim mentality, and my perspective was hurting me. But what I've realized is that this is kind of how I see it. I used to look at people who didn't have any mental health challenges, and we were like, that's fucking alien, and we're just like always like, whatever, stable and happy, and just didn't really think of that stuff. I used to look at those people and I was like, fuck, those people are so lucky. Like, fuck, why can't I have that? Why do I have fucking like all these fucking challenges and shit, Why have I suffered like I've suffered and they haven't? Why is that fair? What I've realized is that sometimes life gives you a gift that is wrapped in shit. So it stinks and it looks like shit. And you're like, fuck, why is life giving me shit? And what I've realized is that this shit was covering gold. And this is the gift. This is part of the gift. When you suffer, there's no choice, there's no option to stay where you are. You need, when the suffering gets intense enough, it's like, something needs to fucking give. Something needs to change here, right? So this is the gift. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. That's a quote from someone. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. And this applies to people. Most people are just like kind of not really that happy with their life, But not everyone is fucking like suicidally depressed like I used to be. They're just, whatever. And therefore, there's no impetus to change. Because change is fucking tough, right? For the human brain, change is really scary. For the unconscious mind prioritizes safety, and familiarity to the subconscious mind equals safety. Therefore, change equals danger, because change is not familiar. Change is unfamiliar. right? So to change for a human being is not easy, and for the brain, it is scary. Therefore, if there's no strong impetus, by default, people will not change. People will remain the same because it takes quite a lot of inertia to get moving. So most people, it's kind of like this. Like, think of this metaphor. It's kind of like this. Most people are sitting in a room that is just a little bit too hot. Not like really hot, but like you're not comfortable, you know, you're a bit like just keep doing this and stuff and whatever, but it's not too fucking hot. It's just a little bit too hot. The way I see it, I I was put in a room that was on fire. And for a long time, I thought, like, this is not fair that my room's on fire. Because look at them, they're just sitting in their room comfortably. Or at least, like, that's what it looks like to me. They look comfortable, they're just sitting down. Why is my room on fire? But when your room's on fire, you fucking leave, right? You go. And so, like, to sort of complete the metaphor, I guess, like, yeah, outside the room is like a better life, you know, a life that you really love and that you're fulfilled by and stuff. And that's like on the other side of the door, but you got to leave the room to do it. Most people are sitting down in a room that's a little bit too hot, but it's not that much too hot, and so they can't be fucked to go like open the door. And they're just like, oh, whatever, and they just stay there their whole lives. And I had fire in my room, so I was like, I fucking need to get the fuck out of here somehow, you know, otherwise I'm gonna burn here. And so what I want to leave you with is the fact that your perspective determines your power, and I would implore you to think about the perspective that you are holding on your life, on yourself, on the people in your life, on the things that happened, the emotionally charged events in your past, and to think about the perspective that you're choosing to adopt. And to recognize also that that perspective is not in stone. That's not the reality. It's not the truth. That's not just the way it is, like it seems to be in our mind. The way it seems in our mind is the way we see it is the way it is, but it's not. It's just one way of looking at it. It's like, let's say you don't know what a phone is, and I'm like, what color is this object? And you'd be like, black. And I'll be like, no, it's not to me. To me, it's whatever this color is, turquoise, I think. You know? I'm like, no, it's turquoise. And you're like, no, it's black. And I'm like, it's turquoise. And he's like, no, it's black. And I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it is black from that perspective. Look, it's turquoise from my perspective. It's like, so is it black or is it turquoise? Is this thing that happened to you in the past, is it bad? Well, it is from this perspective. From this perspective, it's really fucking bad. Actually, it's horrible what happened. But are there like certain blessings in there? Maybe? Are there blessings? It looks like there are. Fuck. I've been fucking staring at this side for fucking years now, and just thinking this is what this object is black, but it's not black. It's only black from this perspective. But it's up to you. It's up to you to look at it, and it's up to you also to want to empower yourself, because the price that you pay for this to sort of uncover some of these gems that were hidden in the in the shit that happened to you, the price you pay for that is you can no longer be a victim. You can no longer view yourself as a victim. And that's a price, because it's a price to pay, because it's a benefit to people. It's something that the victim mentality, although it has negatives, it has positives as well, right? And like, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel sympathy for yourself. I used to fucking do it. And yeah, I still do sometimes. But yeah, I catch myself doing it now. And and I try and think like, fuck, what's the other side of the perspective, you know? But yeah, the victim mentality can make you feel good, because you can be like, oh, it's my life so hard. My life's so hard. You know, and then people can give you sympathy as well and be like, oh, that happened to you, and like these circumstances and stuff, like, wow, that's so fucked up. Like, wow, I'm so sorry for you. You're such a victim. You're such a victim. You know, but then they reinforce your sort of victim mentality, and when you operate from the victim mentality, that's like the antithesis of the empowered mentality. You can't like you can't take empowered action and be empowered when you're brooding in your own victim mentality. So just to sum up here, because I wanna keep this concise, I just want to say again that your perspective determines your power. Think about the most emotionally charged things, people, events, everything. Think of those things in your life, and try and look. If you've been looking at from this perspective, whatever it is, recognize that there's always another perspective. And if this metaphor was a little bit more complete, it wouldn't be a two-sided thing either. It'd be an infinite-sided object. And you could be like, oh, well, it's like this, it's like that, it's like that, it's like that, it's like that. And no single face would be, this is not the correct one, and this is not the correct one either, but it's not incorrect or incorrect either. So it's just, there are just different angles from which you can view an object or your life or an event or a person or yourself. And there are certain angles that will help you, and there will certain angles that will not help you. So it's your choice to choose to look at things from the angle that helps you and serves you best. And if you like this kind of content, if you like it, I don't know. Clearly I'm not used to doing this, but subscribe, and I'll see you next time.